Hello everyone. In today's lesson we will look at how to separate moves one from another and how to see different impulses. But first let's quickly recap what we did in the first lesson. So in the first lesson we just used our eyes to try to mark up some obvious points and see how market creates lower highs, lower lows, or vice versa. So then we tried to trace the price like we want, just as we feel, with no connection to the rules besides of using our eyes and common sense of how the market is moving. And if you remember, we had the smaller moves and then bigger moves, and just tried to explore the market. But of course it makes sense to have some kind of a rule how to separate one move from a different move, and for this we will have a pullback rule. So again, you will be surprised, but depending on your perception of the chart, you could say that some person could separate this market into 4 moves like this. So this person could say, this is my impulse, this is my impulse, this is my impulse, and this is my impulse. And then for this person, pullbacks, so it's no secret that the market is not moving in a straight line, but instead it will move in some kind of impulse or a push, and then some kind of a pullback. Then impulse and a pullback and impulse. But then there is a question. Is this pullback is good enough or big enough to actually say it's a pullback? Or this one, is it big enough? And if the answer is yes, then you have your first push, your second push, and your third push. But imagine that this pullback is not big enough for you. In this case, you have only one option, and it's to say that you have one move and then second move, because this is a no pullback for you and this is just one move for you. And if you will use different rules for this and your like feelings, you will be confused. You will be really confused. That's why we have a pullback rule, which is really simple but takes a bit of time to understand. So don't try to take it all right now. Just follow me. Then these lessons, they are split in 2 parts. You will rewatch it and come back to it, and you will be fine. Okay, but just follow me for right now. So a simple way to see pullback is to use body close rule. So imagine a market that's moving up. So focus your attention here. A market is moving up and candles are just closing above each other, but so this is a bullish push, but never close below each other. And we say that as long as this happens, we will consider this as one move. But as soon as any candle closes with its body below previous candle, so you see this is a body close below a previous candle, we would say that a pullback started. Okay, so imagine market moved up and now it made some kind of a shift on lower time frames or even on this candlestick basis. That first time from the beginning of this impulse, a candle closed below the previous candle. And for us, it will be enough to separate. So if the market after this will do something like this, we will say that this is my impulse number 1, this is my impulse number 2. So let's quickly come back to our chart. and I will show you on real market. So let's use our replay tool. So let's look at this market. Market created some kind of an impulse and then moved even further with no candle. So this is a bearish impulse. So now we want a candle to close above the previous one, like this one. So let's just look. Again, you see, for us, this is still one impulse. Of course, later we will understand that there is some kind of counter trend movements happen, and even inside these weeks, because these weeks they are up moves on lower time frames, which we discuss later. But we all can agree that this is our impulse. Let's move further. Again, impulse is still here, but you see, first time in a long time, this exact candle, this one, this white, closed above its neighbor with its body. So now, if the market will do something like this, for us, it will not be one impulse. Let's see what market does. So it continues a pullback. Okay, so it just continues a pullback, and as long as I remember, it will just do it like this. Okay, so this is a simple introduction. Now let's look at a bit different, a bit more complex example. Is what happens in the beginning of the impulse. Yeah, so while we have this bullish push and this pullback, we know that this is the end of the impulse. But what about its beginning? So how to say where is the start, the exact start of the impulse? So for this task, we will do like this. First, we will see a bullish push happened, and then a pullback. So as you see, this candle, even it's black, we don't consider it as a pullback because it didn't close with its body below the previous candle. And even if her wick would do like this, but body close will be inside the range of a previous candle, we will not consider it as a pullback. Instead, we have this exact candle that closed with its body below the previous candle range. And so we say that this is the start of a pullback and the end of the impulse, obviously. Now, when we have the end of the impulse, we go back and try to find exactly the same scenario happening before the impulse began. So the last time this exact scenario happened before the impulse. Okay, and again, I know it may be confusing in the beginning, but just so if you are like totally confused, just continue watching, and one example from another, one after another, you will get it more and more. So pay attention. So just now, let's pretend that this is not happening. We just want to see, we just want to focus on this one. So we have this pattern, a candle close below, and here we have a black candle, and then next black candle closed below. So what it means that if we imagine that this is a consecutive bullish move, it could be a pullback, correct? It could be a pullback in from a different impulse. And now we have an impulse, pullback with these candles, one more impulse, and exactly the same thing happening after pullback finish, and now we have one more impulse framed exactly on a rules-based basis and with no alternative interpretation, and it will be very convenient for actual trading. So look at this once again, and I will show you something on a real chart now. So I will show you something on real chart now. Okay, let's look here. We had the market that moved down, and now it seems it starts some kind of a move. So let's just follow it. So this is a down move, and now let's see what the market will do. Right now, this is one impulse for us because we don't have any candle which closed with a body above its neighbor. But this candle closed above the previous one. So let me show you. See, this is the body close, and this is the range of a previous candle. So we have a body close above the previous one, and we had an impulse. And now, because of this happened, we can say that this is a pullback good enough for us, and this is the end of this impulse, whatever it was before. So now let's continue to watch the market. So we know that this is the end of the impulse. This is the pullback. If the market will go here, it will be a new impulse for us. So market started to go lower with an impulse, and we remember that we had an impulse and now a pullback, which was signalized by this candle. So a pullback and now a new impulse. So we want to separate this impulse from any kind of previous moves. And what we want to find? We want to find exactly the same price action happening. So let's look what market does. We want a candle that will close above the previous one. You see? Let me zoom in. This is just one move to the downside. And now we have a white candle, but pay attention that it didn't close it didn't close above its neighbor. Instead, it closed inside the range of the previous candle, this white one. And so we have one more bearish candle. So this is the continuation of the same range. And once again, we have some kind of a pause in the price action. But for us, on this specific time frame, it will be the same impulse. Because this candle, even its white candle inside of a bearish push, it closed in the range of a previous one. And as you see, for the first time in 10 candles or so, we have this specific candle. Yeah, so this is your impulse framed by pullbacks on both sides of the impulse. And this is the continuation of a pullback. And that's it. And the last example is this one. It's a bit more complex, but if you pay attention, you will understand why it's here, and we kind of discussed it right now on the chart. So what we have here, first of all, you see that this is definitely overall a bullish move. Oops, sorry. So this is overall a bullish move, but it had this a bullish move, it had these black candles, but pay attention, these black candles closed inside the ranges of its neighbor. So this black candle closed inside this one, this candle closed inside this big one, and this one also closed inside this one. So everything here is just one impulse based on a pullback rule, and only this specific candle closed with its body outside of a range, so below below the range of the previous candle, and it gives us a signal that it's a pullback. And so whatever high was before it, it was a high of this impulse, the end of this impulse. And of course it's framed from the other side with the same kind of pullback. So you have a down candle that closed below the previous one. So if you project the price action, you will see, because of these two, that whatever kind of impulse was before, it came to this point and created a pullback. And so now this is an impulse and a pullback. So this is our impulse. Let's quickly go for the bullish side. Sorry, for the bearish side. Again, project the market. Market is going down and it moves in this impulse. And now for the first time, this candle closed above this one, and this is the pullback. Same thing here. Impulse, no pullback, no pullback, no pullback, pullback. So this is pullback, and framed on this side with a pullback as well. And this is more complex example when you have an impulse with this pose inside it, but pay attention that no candle here closed above the previous one. So we have a bearish push, but no candle closed above the previous one, you see? So every candle closed in the range of a previous one. So that gives us the right to say that this is one impulse, and this candle signalized a start of a pullback. Okay, so this video, you don't have any kind of a task. You just want, if you want, you can just watch through the market and try to see, to get confused, you know. But I will just show you now how it looks in practice to separate market on ranges based on a pullback rule. So we will start from here. We had some kind of break of structure. Again, we will discuss it in the next video, so this is just a teaser. So you have a an impulse, pullback, which finished here. So you see this range held, and now you have this impulse with this low. Why? Because this candle closed above the previous one, and so creating this low, this boundary, lower boundary. But we now follow the price back, and we find that our first pullback from the other side happened all the way here. So you see, this candle closed above and followed the move, so we have this huge move. Now let's follow through, and we have this break which came from here. So you see, because we had an impulse and a pullback, so this is the end and this is the beginning, because the pullback is here. So no pullback happened before, but it framed the impulse, it framed the push. Now this is the pullback, and impulse started with this pullback, and so this is an impulse. Again, push, pullback, impulse, breaks to the other side, came from here, and so on and so on. So this is just a teaser, and it's time to move to second part.